Like, what do you think are some of the lessons that we can learn as we are looking forward to the future of the college football playoff on college football playoff expansion? Is there anything to be taken away from what we've seen in the NCAA tournament this year?
Not just this year, but in general. Because I think this year it's way too easy to look at the college football playoff and say, hey, college football had a Cinderella. College basketball doesn't. College basketball has the big tournament. College football only has 4 teams. They did a better job of getting them there. You could just look at the 1 year and say that, but I feel like that's way too small of a sample size. So what I did was I did a little more research going back further to make the sample size larger to find out whether there truly is parity in college basketball because they have a large tournament. And for those of you who think that an expanded field is going to lead to parity, well, you're Chris Rock, I'm Will Smith, and I'm about to walk up on stage and slap you across the damn face and put some sense into you. I went back first to 1998, which is when the BCS was created, because before that, we really didn't have any kind of playoff whatsoever. And I guess you could consider the BCS a playoff in that we finally got some common sense and put number 1 versus number 2 instead of having them play separate games and then kind of just voting on it afterwards. But since 1998 and the creation of the BCS, 12 different schools have won a national title in college football. In that same time span, no matter what happens in the Final Four, because the 4 teams in the Final Four this year have all won national titles in that time span, 13 different college basketball programs will have won a national title. So 12 football, 13 basketball. That's a whole lot. Look at all the more parity that you have in college basketball with the big field. But then you know what? I said, going back to 98, it's a pretty good sample size, but we could use some more. So let's go back to 1985. Which is when college basketball expanded to 64 teams in its tournament. And that's 37 years ago, but there's only been 36 tournaments in that time because 2020s was canceled. In those 36 years, 19 different college basketball programs have won a national title. Would you guys like to guess how many college football programs have won a national title in the last 36 years? Chip, how many do you think have won?
We were at 13 for 1998.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go back
to 1986.
13. I'm going to say there were only 3 or 4, 17. I'm going to say 4 additional schools. Yeah.
Danny, what's your guess?
Well, Miami won a lot of those, like in those years. So I'm trying to think. USC probably. I'll say 16.
Okay, Bud.
Wait, the timeline is
since 1986, the last 36 years.
So basically, 86. How many additional 86 to 98?
How many different teams have won a national title? How many different
programs have won a national title in college
Nebraska
football?
Was back to
19.
Okay. 18.
Mm-hmm.
So in that same time span, 18 college football programs have won as 19 different college basketball programs. So even though college football for a large portion of those 36 years didn't have a playoff of any type, didn't even have a 1 versus 2 scenario, had just as many different schools winning national titles as basketball. So next time you come to me saying, well, expanding the field will bring more parity and give more teams a chance to win a national title, I am going to slap you across the face because you're an idiot and you haven't done any of the actual research. You're just saying it because you want it to be true.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Those people are idiots. They deserve to be slapped.
Thank you. Let's slap them, Danny. No, but.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun watching a lot more teams feel like they have a chance to win a national championship. That's the part that's fun about it. Because I think we've had this exact discussion before, and we've all said, is it really going to change who's going to win the national championship? Probably not. Maybe you get a team, and the thing that's funny is that St. Peter's doesn't even exist. There are 358 Division III schools, 100 in basketball and 130 in football. So like you're going to eliminate, a lot of schools that aren't going to be that category. But I do think like a Cinderella team to me in football would have been like, we had that in Cincinnati last year, who probably would have been eliminated. But a Cinderella to me would be a team like a 3-win USC team.
Mm-hmm.
With Sam Darnold at quarterback, who might get into a 12-team playoff, and that's the other. Like you could take the other angle and say, like, this is what I was thinking about before the show. In college football, we wouldn't have the chance to see UNC or Duke because they wouldn't have been invited to party. And yet and like this is a conference thing too. We thought the ACC was awful all season long, right? They're horrible. But we kind of forget that teams get better and teams figure things out, especially in the era of transfers when you're seeing this much roster turnover. I think that needs to be accounted for, and maybe something that should actually enhance the argument for expansion, because there are going to be teams that lose early in the season that could still be capable, maybe not of knocking off Alabama or Georgia, but of making a really deep run in the postseason. And when I say deep run, maybe winning a game or two in a playoff scenario.
It'd be the semis. The Cinderella run would be to be the lower seeded team in the first round, win that, get into the quarterfinals, then knock off one of the top 4 seeds, then get into the semifinals. And then, much like many Cinderellas, that would be like the Elite Eight moment where in the semifinals you end up getting smoked by 20.